It was good, dog. Today we're going to be talking about Lily Orchard. I initially did a recording alongside my podcast co-host Owen, reacting to Lily's latest video going over all the drama that's been going on, but I decided that it is not nearly transformative enough and does not give me the capability to talk about my perspective on this whole situation properly. But first, who is Lily Orchard? Well, I will have none other than Lily Orchard themselves introduce themselves.
My name is Lily and Valerie Orchard. I'm a YouTuber who does media critique that is predominantly focused on characters and themes. I've often gotten a reputation for being negative based on a minority of my videos, but my work actually takes concepts and ideas and unpacks them regardless of quality. I'm also a survivor of long-term physical, emotional, and sexual abuse that went on from my birth until I was about 26. Over the years, my abusers, which include former friends who I broke things off with because they were abusive, have tried to deplatform me with increasingly extreme accusations, right up to weaponizing the right wing's rhetoric about trans people and even policing my ethnicity. For the most part, I've attempted to simply ignore these things and move on with my day. But after 12 years, it's reached the point I can't just ignore it anymore and decided to unpack all of this harassment.
With that out of the way, I can personally sit here for 2 whole hours explaining the Lily Orchard lore and everything that has led us up to this moment here today. But I am not here making this video announcing who I am siding with or even discussing new information that has arose from the woodworks. I am specifically here to introduce a new perspective on this whole situation. Now, I have of course not watched every single video that has ever been made about Lily Orchard, but I've seen enough to get the gist of this whole situation and why Lily Orchard is a bad person. So if you're wondering, these right here are all the videos that I have seen. Alright, take a gander. I have been going deep down the rabbit hole to truly see who is in the right here, Lily Orchard or the people accusing them. The majority of these allegations being thrown out are just abuse. Lily Orchard is a manipulator, and they talk very saucy in front of minors, or sometimes to minors. That's basically all you need to know going into my video here because there is minimal evidence for any of this happening. There are screenshots shown in all of these videos accusing Lily of these horrible things, but there is no concrete evidence that proves Lily Orchard is the one that in fact did these things, or is the one that solicited talking saucy to a minor. Now, I'm not totally siding with Lily Orchard. This is not someone I really respect for many different reasons, and that's not really important right now. I am also not saying that I side with all the people accusing them because in some ways they're not any better. So that's when I get into my unique perspective that I want to discuss here today. I'm going to cut up some clips from this hour-long response video that Lily Orchard uploaded, and there will be some commentary from me and my podcast co-owner Owen that is embedded in the recording. And these clips are cherry-picked so that you can get a clear image of what Lily Orchard has gone through as well as some of the other people that are discussed. I'm trying my hardest for newcomers that don't know who this person is to understand what's going on. So here we go.
Even Courtney herself goes back and forth between citing examples of me supposedly breaking the law, but then turning around and making excuses not to have me charged. And while cops can be negligent in their duties, that's not where trans women are concerned. The argument has always been, the cops don't take sex abuse seriously. Bro, I am an indigenous trans woman. Of course they're gonna take it seriously. This is how you know these people are just drunk. More than a few people have cocked an ear that this was rather unusual behavior and turned to me and went, Lily, were you being sexually abused as a child? And the answer is yes. I've talked about it before. From ages 6 to 11, I was being molested by a teacher. And from ages 14 to 15, I was being raped by an underclassman. Courtney even confirms both of these events happening in her first appearance with Poppy and Xena.
Now, I wanted to show these clips in particular so that we can have receipts on Lily's self-perception. They are an abuse victim. They are trans. They are supposedly indigenous, but there's a lot of evidence suggesting that they are not actually indigenous, and it's all just a lie to get attention. So with that, I think it's pretty safe to say that Lily has suffered from mental illness their entire life. This is a groundbreaking discovery, I know. Bear with me. So I'm going to try to quickly talk about the whole trans side of it all. This is something I talked about a lot when I first started the commentary era of my channel. More often than not, people that are trans have a severe mental illness. And so using this trans identity masks their issues rather than dealing with it head on. And so they create all these lies, they discover a new identity, and then they move on from their past and they become a new person. I've confidently made the argument that is not healthy whatsoever. Using trans ideologies to mask your issues is not going to help them or resolve them. Getting physically or schmexually abused at a young age is not going to go away by simply changing your gender or schmexuality. Sometimes you can't really control your schmexuality shifting. Kids that get abused and they end up being gay, it's just unfortunate, whatever. But becoming trans, That's taking it a step too far, buddy. Now, of course, there are trans people out there that aren't severely mentally ill and are actually happy in life. Now, despite that, do I have any evidence that there are trans people that are happy? No. What, are you just going to ask a trans person, are you happy? They're probably going to say yes. But I need concrete evidence. I need documents from the psych ward saying, yes, this trans individual is happy. Of course, transness is not the only thing that goes into masking issues. There's a lot of other things that people will indulge in order to hide from their past, like withdrawing from friends and family, sheltering yourself from new experiences, and surrounding yourself with constant temporary dopamine rushes that give you that temporary happiness rather than long-term happiness. And so those things might consist of drug or substance abuse, avoiding physical activity and staying inside and playing video games and watching Netflix all day, getting in arguments on the internet in hopes of winning the argument and having that self-satisfaction that affirms to yourself that you are the best person in the universe. These are things that I can very clearly imagine Lily doing, along with being trans. And on top of that, Lily and a bunch of these people that are slandering them are well into their 30s now. It is clear that they have all kinds of unresolved issues and trauma that has not been resolved to this day, and so in turn, it has turned them into degenerate millennials. There are all kinds of examples of trans people well into adulthood that become degenerates and stuff, like Vicky 1999, Jessica Yaniv, Amy Challoner, Finster, who's getting HRT to minors allegedly, Alok Vaid Manon, and Keffels, who set up Kiwi Farms and was also getting HRT to minors. Now, of course, not all of these people are confirmed to be 100% guilty, but there were accusations thrown out there, and why could that be? So either these people are victims of prejudice and bigotry, or there's something that they are actually doing that is bad. I don't want to be that guy that's just like, all trans people are groomers, they're bad. That is not my point here. Of course, there are all kinds of conservatives that have been exposed to be groomers, and it can be politically convenient on both sides to throw out that accusation. The reason why I bring up all these trans people accused of these terrible things is because I want to point out that trans people are this like anomaly that for some reason a lot of them are victims of schmexual abuse and then in turn grow up to be schmexual abusers themselves. And it doesn't just have to be schmexual abuse. It could be the other things that I mentioned. People masking their issues and trauma and becoming terrible people because of it, because they don't have permanent satisfaction. They have the temporary satisfaction that ruins their lives rather than making it more productive. So with that, is Lily Orchard a degenerate? Yes, absolutely, 100%, no doubt about it. They have been a degenerate for many years. There's all these receipts of them making these degenerate comics, allegedly full of incest, like Stockholm, which I would love to talk about Stockholm in detail, but this video is going to get age-gated and stuff if I do. Lily Orchard, please address Stockholm. You did not do it in this hour-long response video, and you are looking more guilty the more you deny it ever happened, because there's all this evidence that you actually made Stockholm and are an incest freak, whether or not you schmexually abused your younger sister. Who is this mysterious younger sister, you may be wondering? Well, let's transition into my next point. But first, here are more clips and highlights from us reacting to the response video.
She's trying to paint me as someone who was just born wrong, who was genetically rotten and came out of the womb of...
You're trans. I think we figured that out already, so there's no need to debunk that.
When we were teenagers, Courtney walked into my room one afternoon and made a simple ultimatum. Don't resist or I'll tell Dad you raped me. And then she raped me that day, and continued to do so for a year. I mentioned being sexually abused at 2 points in my life by 2 different people. Here are their names.
I don't know who that is. Lily is accusing Courtney of abusing them.
Yeah. Dude, that's literally the exact same as Laylee. Okay, what did Lily mean by that?
It's Courtney that likes incest. It was Courtney all along. It wasn't Lily. Lily's not the abuser. It was Courtney. It was the other way around. It was a younger sibling abusing an older sibling. What the frick? You never see that. What I want to know is if they're lying about you, why are they doing it? Is it to absolve themselves, or is it because you did something that's too not good to even talk about? And so they're talking about these other things so that you face repercussions for these other things that they're not mentioning. That's a bit of a stretch, I know. But like, still, why are they doing this if they're just gonna lie about it?
Like this entire section and the Ethel section, there's nothing going on. It's just only like this game, you know? So like the fact that like you're not showing anything about this is definitely suspicious.
Now, I'm going to throw this criticism of Courtney, Pete, along with all the other people together, but here's a screenshot from a video that Courtney uploaded of her showing her face. And here's a little bit of an older photo, but still kind of gets the message out there, of Lily Orchard. And this is a good photo of Lily Orchard, if I'm being honest. Look at that, absolutely stunning. If I have personally learned anything about my super educational psychology journey right before I go to college and study it, then it's that a lot of trauma and abuse victims will not only mask their issues by becoming trans in some severe cases, but they will also get piercings and color their hair and make themselves seem as undesirable as possible. Maybe they're making themselves look ugly and undesirable intentionally so that they don't get touched by an old man like they did when they were a child. Or they could be doing it without self-awareness. They could be doing it out of boredom or to replicate some sort of style. But at the end of the day, someone that chooses to get piercings, tattoos, or color their hair or cut it in some provocative way will lack self-respect for who they are, which is a common symptom for trans people. They lack the respect for who they're born as, and so they chop off their pee-pee and they get implants, all because they're under some delusion that they need to change and that what they're doing is actually helping themselves. And so with that, looking at these two photos of Courtney and Lily, is Courtney any less of a degenerate in that regard? I don't know, probably, but probably not. The reason why I'm going into detail about their appearance and about the minimal information that I know about their past traumas is because we don't know their whole life story. I'm going off of what I know. So what I can confidently conclude is these people do not respect themselves or each other in a very toxic degree. They have unresolved issues and they choose to resolve those issues, or at least they think it'll resolve it, by attacking each other and trying to deplatform each other and ruin their careers and further destroy their own respect for themselves and also how other people see them on the internet. Now, Courtney, of course, does a really good thing by trying to reach out to Lily in private so that they can hopefully resolve this whole drama that they've had for over a decade. But of course, Courtney messages Lily on DeviantArt, which is a platform Lily rarely ever goes on. So, Courtney has a freak out moment and just like goes off on Tumblr and she's like, Lily's a bad person, they don't want to resolve this in private, so I'm going to ruin Lily's career and I'm going to make videos about they, them, and it's going to be awesome. And so that's exactly what happens.
And before she went on this warpath, she actually reached out to me. Hey, it's Courtney. We need to talk. I can't imagine the fuckers who birthed us in any way are supportive. Supportive of what? I don't know. And I've blamed you for a lot in our childhood that wasn't actually your fault. I'd like to change that. Text me or call me it. She did this on DeviantArt. I didn't see it.
DeviantArt.
I log into DeviantArt once in a blue moon. And I guess because I didn't answer in time, she started doing this. And then while she was having a bender on Tumblr, she kept bitching about the fact that I wouldn't talk things out with her. I mean, do I need to draw you a fucking map?
Hey, Angie, about earlier. Kill your whole fucking family. Work's really stressful. Little cocksucking piece of shit.
Is Courtney any better of a person than Lily in that regard? I don't think so. Because Lily even considered forgiving Courtney up until this moment.
I was in therapy for a long time dealing with the consequences of her abuse. I've had a lot of complicated feelings about my sister over the years. Some days I've hated her. Other days I've wanted to forgive her. I know that sounds absolutely fucking crazy.
Now they're both going back and forth and continuing the battle and seeing who can beat a platform first. At least that's how I'm perceiving it. Do you guys remember that Holocaust survivor that forgave one of the Nazis being prosecuted in court rather than condemning him and making sure that he has the worst rest of his life ever, you feel me? Do you think that Holocaust survivor lived the rest of her life regretful over the fact that the Nazi didn't truly get what he deserved by being a Nazi and contributing to endless suffering in the Holocaust? I don't think so. The people that are truly winning in life are people that can find the forgiveness for others that have wronged them in the past, rather than finding ways to have moral superiority or even moral equivalence and fighting each other about it so that the person that was wrong can find closure and the other person can be condemned forever. I know that this is a very specific way of explaining this by using an example of a Holocaust survivor, but I think it's a pretty decent example. It reminds us that there can be worse things that can happen to us. There are ways of overcoming adversity no matter how traumatic and how terrible. And so condemning others because of your own misfortune is not going to help the situation whatsoever. I don't care who molested who. Lily and Courtney, they need to work this out in private. They need to take up that offer of discussing it on DeviantArt and keep it away from the internet, because making this public on the internet is just like the Wilbur Soot and George Not Found situation that happened a few months ago, of which those situations I have made multiple videos on. And of course, these are events that occurred way in the past, either in the 2000s or 2010s, doesn't matter. These are completely different people, and them not resolving this conflict has turned them into disgusting Democrat voter millennials. I'm exaggerating, of course, but yeah, I'm speaking in terms of like Redditors and Ben Shapiro fans. And that goes for everyone else that has accused Lily of these terrible things. With no evidence that can clearly prove that Lily is a bad person, besides Stockholm. Is complaining about it on the internet and trying to deplatform Lily gonna make the situation better? No, it's the internet. Move on, go to therapy, go to the gym, go jog around in the park, get a real job, quit YouTube or withdraw from YouTube at least, get a real job, get real experiences, travel when you have the money and inflation gets under control. So then there you go, Professor Teague saves the day. I have the only correct opinion here. There's no need for you all to thank me because I am the most humble YouTuber on the whole platform, and I don't need thanks. It's literally summertime. June has started, so it's time to go out, get your bathing suits on, go swim in a pool somewhere, and yeah, just have a good summer, I guess. And so the biggest contribution that this has to YouTube, people watching this and stuff, is just the fact that it can serve as entertainment. Why do people watch TLC shows all the time, like 90 Day Fiancé? It's so that they can watch these bizarre specimens of human beings interact with each other in the most degenerate way and most unnatural way possible. Alright? It's so that people can watch these shows and be like, you know, at least I'm not like that. Okay? I swear, 90 Day Fiancé has probably saved hundreds of marriages in people's personal lives because they watch this show and are like, well, our marriage is bad, but it's not this bad. Let's learn from these degenerates on this TV show so we can fix our own relationship. I swear, if there are people that have come out on social media and explained their story of how 90 Day Fiancé taught them how to personally be not be horrible people, that would go crazy. I would love to make a video about that. So yeah, if you're looking at this Lily situation of how they might be an abuser, just know that the people accusing them are probably not much better, whether or not they are guilty of abusing someone in their lives as well. These are actual degenerates. Like, these are people that are terminally online. They throw the accusations like this probably on a weekly basis with all of their other friends, and out of the two parties of this whole situation, someone is lying. It's most likely Lily, just so that they can absolve all of this kind of drama, so that they can seem like a better person by manipulating it all. But how do we know that that's completely the truth? We don't know, because there's no evidence of, like, most of this stuff happening. Sub to the second channel, follow the Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and join the Discord server. Follow all the social media. Bye-bye.